For me, like, it's a game, right? At the end of the day, and it's about having fun. If you're not having fun, why do it? And the team aspect is huge, and that's what makes hockey so special. And so, I like I say, I'm just a normal kid, right? I'm a 17-year-old. I like to have fun with my buddies, go play some golf. I'm a big fisherman, being from Texas, and so it's just kind of being a kid, going away from the rink, just having fun and playing the game I love.
That was 2026 top NHL prospect JP Hurlbert, and you are listening to the Up My Hockey Podcast with Jason Podolin.
Just watch me now.
Welcome to Up My Hockey with Jason Podolin, where we deconstruct the NHL journey, discuss what it takes to make it, and have a few laughs along the way. I'm your host, Jason Podolin, a 31st overall draft pick who played 41 NHL games, but thought he was destined for 1,000. Learn from my story and those of my guests. This is a hockey podcast about reaching your potential. Hey there, and welcome back, or welcome to the Up My Hockey Podcast with Jason Podolin. I am your host, Jason Podolin, and today we have a special guest by the name of JP Hurlbert. JP Hurlbert is an American from Texas who is one heck of a hockey player. Such a good hockey player that he made the U.S. National Development Team program. The U17 team has played for them nationally and recently made the decision with the CHL rule change to come join the Kamloops Blazers of the Western Hockey League, where he currently sits atop the WHL scoring race with a 2-point per game average. He has met the league with ferocity and has really done some great things in his short time in Canada. It's been awesome to watch his transition, and we cover kind of that transition and how effortless he's made it seem coming to a new country. Meeting players that he never knew half their names before, some of which he did, but to come in cold like that, to come into a league where he doesn't know anything, and to have the success that he's having is a clear indication of his approach to the move and just his personality in general, which I think comes through loud and clear with this conversation. JP's 17 years old, but my goodness, he comes across as a much wiser, much more experienced human being. I believe his maturity speaks for itself, and by everything that I hear from inside the organization, it's authentic. So what you're hearing today, although I don't know him, we'd never met prior to this call. We talked for maybe a couple minutes before I pressed record. So nothing here was planned. He never knew any of the questions. We have no history, and I believe he just handled it like a rock star, like a 10-year pro. So we cover a lot of cool things. I mean, his journey, like through Texas minor hockey, him getting involved in the development program, the transition, moving to the WHL, his thoughts on the NHL draft, his approach to development, his approach to leadership, and his approach to his game. We cover it all here, and this is a name. If you don't know it already, now you do. He has been rocketing up the draft rankings leaderboard with his start. He was, I believe, from most things that I saw, was recognized. Some places as low as a third rounder, up to a kind of a top or a later first round pick, and he's put himself in the conversation as moving well above that now. So that's really fun to watch. I love watching kids have success, and especially, good, solid character kids like JP. So again, we wish him nothing but the best here at Up My Hockey. Awesome for him to come out and spend some time with us today, and I really hope that you enjoy the conversation with JP Hurlbert. All right, here we are with the WHL's current leading scorer and Kamloops Blazer, JP Hurlbert. Welcome to the podcast, JP.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. I know you guys just got off the big Western swing. That wasn't really where I planned to start, but that Western swing for a Western, or Eastern swing, I should say, for a Western team can be a beast. And I know that the travel is probably a little dissimilar to what you've experienced in the past. What was that whole ordeal like for you?
Yeah, yeah. The Sask Prairies, right? Pretty flat out there. So, no, it was a long, long way to go, but it was really fun to be with the team as a new guy. I think early on it was really good bonding, and we had a lot of tough games, a lot of great competition in the Western League, and it was really fun to get it under my belt, and see Central Canada.
Yeah. Yeah. So you never been up there before?
Never been up in the prairies. No, I'd been to Edmonton one time, but
Right.
never out in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a whole different world up there. It's crazy once you see how vast the WHL really is, right? From the American division in the West and the teams there, and then you go into the prairies and the travel that they experience. It's kind of cool that you guys got to do it. I think though early on, you mentioned the bonding aspect of it. There's so much time on that frickin' bus. Like I'm sure you're have a lot of time together, a lot of conversations to be had, and probably brought you guys together, I'd assume.
Yeah, no, for sure. Those road trips, they seem long in the moment, maybe, but like so many memories. Like the bus is such a great way to get to know guys. We're getting off at 2 in the morning, unloading wet gear, right? Like
Yeah.
just little things that bond us, and we really tried to have fun with it, doing little things in the hotel, watching movies. It was a great trip.
Where was your last game? Was it out in Brandon?
Yeah, no, we were in Swift, so
Here in Swift.
yeah, Swift. So bust through the night. That was an experience laying on the floor.
Yeah.
Got
Oh
home
yeah.
at 10, so it was a new day.
Yeah, if you can't sleep on the bus in the Western League, you're gonna have a hard time. I remember I played in Spokane for 4 years, so we every East trip for whatever I guess just the way it planned at the time, we always ended in Brandon, and so we'd get on the bus after Brandon. It was 26 hours, I think, back to Spokane or something. So we'd be getting off the bus for breakfast in the morning in Med Hat. We'd always stop in Med Hat and kind of stretch the legs, and then back on the bus again. Frick, you're pretty delirious by the time you got home. All it was
Oh, yeah,
crazy.
that's a long ride.
What was the longest trip for you last year with the NTDP team?
Yeah, we went over to Finland twice, so
Hmm,
not on a bus, but
yeah.
going international is a really fun experience. We were in Virmaki, Finland. Probably never heard of that. It's about
No,
4 hours north of oh gosh, can't even think of it really, to be
Helsinki.
honest. Helsinki, yeah,
Yeah,
Helsinki, and yeah, we were ways up there. No sun for 2 weeks, and kind of in the woods.
yeah.
That was an experience.
I believe it. What were you there for?
We were there for the Virmaki Cup Challenge. And I think it was late December, so cold, snowy. It's the Finland's Olympic training facility, and yeah, we were out there. It was a great experience. Small hotel, rink probably sat 100 people, and
Oh, really?
you're playing against the top countries in the world.
Yeah, that's fun. I mean, hockey's so great for that. I don't even remember which team I was with, to be honest, but they sent their prospects up to Turku, Finland, one year in the summer, and so there was a couple other teams that sent their guys there. So we trained there for 2 weeks or something. And yeah, like when would you ever get to go to Finland and see that part of the world and get to experience that culture? And yeah, I really enjoyed my time in Finland as well. What about the U-Haul? So I mean, the U-Show. So you're down there in the U-Show. Is it pretty short trips most for the most part, or what does that travel look like?
Yeah, for the program, I think it's maybe a little shorter than a typical USHL team. We got to play out east a lot against the Youngstown and Muskegon and Chicago. Really short trips. We had one bus overnight the whole year, and that was to Sioux City. But from a program standpoint, we were really lucky with our travel, and treated great, and loved playing in the USHL.
Yeah, good for you. But let's talk about the Dallas Stars. So you're from Texas. I'm sure been asked this question 100 times already. But since you are an American boy, were you drawn in from the Dallas Stars and being a hockey fan and wanting to play? Like, what was your introduction to the sport?
Yeah, for me, so my dad's from Detroit, and I was born in '08 when the Red Wings won the cup, and that's when they had Datsuk and Zetterberg and all those guys. So
Yeah.
we would grew up watching them together on the television, and when they came to Dallas, we'd watch the games, and then kind of transitioned into a Stars fan as I've grown up, and I love going to the playoffs, love going to games when I'm home now, and yeah, I'm a big Stars fan.
That's cool. So, what was the hockey community like there where you were from? Was there a pretty good minor hockey program?
Yeah, the Stars do a great job growing, the game in Texas. We grew up playing mini mites, like any kid in Canada would, just playing little cross ice games with your buddies. And maybe a Saturday, you play a morning game, and, transitioned into playing as we got older. The competition kind of closes off, and, the high end guys, we would go out northeast and go to Canada, Minnesota to play these northern teams. And so being able to travel at such a young age was an experience not many people can say they can do.
Right.
And it was really cool. And the development standpoint, like the coaches in Dallas are great. They're guys who've grown up playing the game, coming from Minnesota, Boston, and it's a great group down there.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just had a flashback. Actually, you mentioned that team. That was the last NHL team that I tried out for. Actually,
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I played for Babcock in Spokane, and then I went to Europe for a few years, and then came back and wanted to throw my hat in the ring and try and be an NHLer again. And so the Red Wings invited me out to their main camp and played an exhibition game and what have you. But yeah, like all those guys like were there. Hasek was there, and Zetterberg and Datsuk and Lidstrom. Anyways, it was like sitting in the Hockey Hall of Fame when you're in the locker room with those guys. And it was, yeah, it was awesome. Such a great experience just to see what that culture's like, like how they were so successful. They were obviously great players, but just that atmosphere on that team was just fantastic to be a part of, and something that I brought with me now with what I do, even as a coach now, like try and recreate that. It's a pretty cool vibe there. What, with the whole, because I'm a Canadian guy and getting more familiar, I just transferred here down to Coeur d'Alene, so I'm at the Coeur d'Alene Hockey Academy here now, so kind of more familiar with U.S. hockey and getting more familiar by the day. But what is that recruitment process like for you out of the Dallas Stars organization to get into the national program? Well, what were the steps you had to take for that?
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of prep schools in the U.S. and there's tremendous academies and organizations. But for me, I felt Dallas was the right path for me, and they do a great job getting you exposure to the national program. You play in Detroit twice a year, and one of them you're in the home rink, and so it's for me it didn't feel like anything any other kid got to experience, right? I got the same amount of games watched as them, and with Live Barn and all these technologies today, it's really cool the fact that they could watch from across the United States, and just was really lucky to have that.
And so is there an evaluation vetting process? Did you get invited to a first stage and you have to work your way through to get yourself on the team, or like what is that process all about?
Yeah, I found out I was going to the 40-man camp for the national program about a month before nationals, and went up there about 2 weeks before. And it's a week-long process. It's a hard week. It's the best kids in the country all competing for a spot, and everybody wants to be there, and it's a challenge, and it was a great experience. I look back, so many friends, so much learning moments from that, and luckily made the team that weekend, and was really excited.
Yeah, I mentioned before we even pressed start here that I had Max Plant on, and we did talk a little bit about the, like, once he made the team and that training experience of like when you first got there, and just some of the attrition that is required to get you through. Can you maybe walk us through your version of that? Like once you make the team, you have the elation, and then you show up and like things get real. How was that?
Yeah, no, it gets real quick, and the strength and conditioning staff at the program do a great job. GVN Performance, they got us in shape real quick, and it's you're a 16-year-old playing in a 20-year-old league, and you're a small, younger team, so you got to mature quickly through your game, through your off-ice performance. And so we spent hours in the gym every single day. We'd work out day before game, day of game, after games, and it's really something special. It builds a culture there, and we got better even when we didn't want to, and we had fun doing it.
Yeah, they teach you how to be a pro, I guess, real young there, right? And that is one of the things with just the approach to development, I guess. At the end of the day, what are you trying to do? Yes, you want to win hockey games, I'm sure, and you want to be successful there. But the idea is like, how good are you going to be when you leave? And it sounds like that's sort of the approach that they take for the group.
Yeah, for sure. It's it can be challenging at times, but it's adversity and it's learning how to deal with it, and it's really well done.
How did you guys do in the league? I didn't look up like wins and losses. How does that team generally do in the USHL?
Yeah, the 17 years a hard year. It's it's long days of training, and you're a 16-year-old kid playing against 18, 19, 20-year-olds, so it's tough. Not a lot of wins come in, really, to be honest with you, but
Yeah.
it's learning how to compete, learning how to play the game, and it's learning how to deal with adversity and
Right.
learning how to manage it.
Did you know that going in, like as and or was that one of your, kind of focused skill sets that, hey, like there might not be as much success as I want on the ice, but I am here for this reason. Like I want to learn how to deal with this stuff. I want to learn the trials and tribulations of being a hockey player.
Yeah, going in, it's going to be hard. There's no secret about it. They tell you it, and you get there, and it's a whole nother level. It's hard and it's challenging, and that going in, and it's just how much you love the game, and every day you got to go in there with your head up and put a smile on your face and just trying to get better, and good things will happen when you do that.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, right? Like guys can tell you that we're there before, and and you can hear it from whoever, but until you're actually in the trenches, you don't really get it. And now that you have that experience, I'm sure that's helped you, with where you're at right now. Just for some of those people that don't know, so like that team essentially stays together. Like you were one of the few that have now left, and obviously you're playing for the Kamloops Blazers. But then that team again would come back as 17-year-olds for their draft year and play in the same league against the same teams that you did the year before, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And so with that, obviously, there's a lot of prestige around that team. Obviously, there's a lot of, draft picks from that team. It's a, it's an accolade for sure. And you decided to come to the CHL. I just would love to hear the thought process that you and your team went through to figure out that, what, the Western League is where I want to be this year.
Yeah, it's always an honor to represent your country and play for USA. And, went home after the year and just kind of had talks with my family, my advisors, and really kind of summed up what I, want to be and my goals. And, just felt Kamloops was, a great team, great staff. And, it was the opportunity to go play in the Western Hockey League was something that was really great. And, it's a long process, but I was really happy and excited to be in Kamloops.
That's cool. Yeah, well, you seem just even the way you talked about Finland and like your experience with the prairies, it seems like you're a guy that enjoys new experiences. Like, not everybody has a different personality when it comes to that stuff too, right? We don't want sometimes we keep away from newness because we like comfortability, right? So is that something that's kind of just about you? Like that you're not shy about stepping into new situations and new experiences?
Yeah, no, I don't think I'd, really be shy about it. I kind of love meeting new people. It's a new country, right? So it's, guys never really met or played with. And, I'm thinking back to the first week when I got here, it was like nerves, but so excited to meet these guys and play together. It's really fun to just meet new people and be a part of a new culture and team.
Good for you. Like like let's pretend you didn't have that approach. And I know that you've probably met guys that don't, right? Like have a hard time meeting people, have a hard time putting themselves out there. One of the things I like talking about is that ability to be comfortable when maybe you're not comfortable, because what happens off the ice usually is reflective of what happens on the ice, right? Like if you feel like you're on an island or you're the only American or I don't know any of these guys, and then you don't start making any connections, probably it doesn't flow as well as it did. So can you put the other hat on there, or maybe speak to that just for the young players listening about the your willingness to put yourself in situations to make those connections?
Yeah, for me, like, it's a game, right? At the end of the day, and it's about having fun. If you're not having fun, why do it? And, the team aspect is huge, and that's what makes hockey so special. And it's a small community, and everybody loves it. And so I think that's the way to look at it, right? Like
Yeah.
nobody's going to judge you off one way or the other how you play the game. It's a team sport, and everybody has their own style. Everybody's their own person, right? Guys are maybe a little more outgoing or a little quieter. And, I think it's just accepting that and learning to have fun with it is really important to look at.
Yeah, I love that. Take a short break from the conversation to tell you it is UMH 68 time. That is the Up My Hockey 68, the invitational event that is running throughout Western Canada this 2026. We have released the watch lists on the upmyhockey.com website. So you should get over to upmyhockey.com, go to the UMH 68 portion, and see what's available in your province. We are unleashing a female event in BC, in Saskatchewan, and in Manitoba this year. Different age groups on that. So get your eyes on where we're coming, who we are catering to, and get your names on the watch list. Another opportunity with UMH 68 is for people who want to be involved in it from a sponsorship category. Had some amazing sponsors last year: BioSteel, Elite Prospects. We had lots of involvement from local companies, and it was a fantastic 2025 season. But as always, we're looking to grow. One of the things that I take pride in with the UMH 68 is keeping the costs low for what the players get at our events. The value is so recognizable when you compare to other showcases, other events that go on. And for me, I don't want to raise the prices to match the value. I would actually like to lower the prices so it makes it attainable for every player that has earned an invite to get there. And we can only do that with the sponsorship dollars and with the people that want to get involved and donate to the scholarship fund. So if you're somebody that's an individual that wants to support young hockey players to come to a great development showcase event, then by all means, please reach out. If you are a company owner, whether it be a local company or a provincial company or a national company that would like to get behind female and male youth hockey, that really supports the development of the person behind the hockey player, one of the things that Up My Hockey prides itself in, then by all means, please reach out. We'd love to get you involved, and we'd love to make this be the place for development in Western Canada. So thanks for tuning in. UMH 68, again, the watch lists are out. Check it out. Now let's get back to the conversation. With the rule change, so like when did you commit to University of Michigan?
I committed August of last year.
August of last year. Okay, so 2024.
Yeah.
Okay, so the rule change hadn't come into play yet.
Mm-hmm.
So the plan, I would assume, for you was to graduate high school. When they want you there, maybe as a graduate, then you show up there as a true freshman and play. Is that accurate?
Probably, yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Okay, so then the rule change happens, and now the CHL opens up to you. You talked about your decision. We don't have to go granular on that, but like, how familiar were you with the CHL just in the first place? You know, a lot of, like, you talk about the paths available. Like, generally speaking, for American players, there was kind of one path. If you wanted to play school, you'd obviously made that decision that you wanted to play by your commitment. So when that door opened, were you very familiar with the CHL as a league, or what was it all about?
Yeah, it's obviously, it's one of the best leagues in the world, right? And, they produce so much NHL talent, and you watch the draft this year, it's a lot of CHL guys. But for me, I did a lot of homework and looked into it even more. Like, be lying to you if I told you I knew where Kamloops was before the rule change, right? But,
right.
But no, it's, it's such an amazing league. There's so much talent, and it's really it's fun to play in, right? And that's what I love about it.
That's awesome. So the rule change happened, and that's when you kind of put on the thinking cap of like, hey, what am I going to do here? Kamloops obviously probably calls, you talk to your agent, you talk to the program, and you figure out what the best suit is for you. And it looks like it's working out pretty well. You're happy with your decision so far?
Yeah, no, it's been great here. Obviously really early on, but city's amazing. Looking out at the mountains every morning's a pretty cool experience, and I love it here, and I'm already looking forward to the next game.
That's awesome. Yeah, Clouston, my son was at camp with you, actually. That's another thing I didn't tell you before. So, Hudson Podolin was a draft pick of the Blazers. So I was there watching camp, saw you at camp, heard some of the interviews and the way the staff was talking about you. And one of the things that struck me was Clouston said that he almost had to be reminded that you were 17 years old. Not necessarily the way you play, although he did say that, you know what I mean? Like you play older than you are, but just even your approach, you know, in the room and your ease amongst the guys and kind of your leadership qualities. I think that's pretty high praise. First of all, congratulations on that. That's awesome to hear. What do you view leadership as a thing, or is it something that kind of is it a skill for you? Is it something that you're actively trying to work on, or are you just kind of being natural JP Hurlbert and that's the way it shows up?
Yeah, first, thank you. But, I think leadership's it's so many ways, right? I think it's one of the biggest qualities is being you. Everybody's a leader in their own way. You look at a guy like Sidney Crosby, he's quiet but really outgoing, supportive, and then you look at a guy like Ovechkin who's really energetic and pushes and pushes. And so, a leader isn't one definition, right? And it can be so many different ways. And I think that's one way to look at it is just be yourself, right? And there's a time to make jokes. There's a time maybe you be serious, and you're in the third period trying to win a game. But I think the most important thing to take away is to be yourself.
That is freaking fantastic advice, young man. I see what Clouston's saying now. That's wise words. I say the exact same thing. Like, and those are the most authentic leaders because you are being authentic. Like I'm sure you've been in locker rooms where guys are trying to be a captain, whatever they feel that is. Like, I need to say something or I have to do this. That sometimes doesn't ring true, right? But if you are true to yourself, and I believe part of that is even like your trueness and authenticity to your preparation. Some guys are wired in the room. Some guys are dancing, bouncing off the walls before a game, right? Other guys are sitting in their stall and doing their thing. And I think if you can find that recipe card as an individual and then just live that, amongst the group, that's usually a pretty good indicator that you're leading, provided that you have the compete and work ethic and those other things that leaders all need to have. So that's great. It seems like you're pretty comfortable in your own skin, and I'm sure that is reflective amongst the group. When it comes to the draft, obviously it's a big year, right? This is a big year for you. Big year for all the 17-year-olds out there. It's not the end of the road by any stretch of the imagination. It's more like the beginning. But the placement does matter, and we've seen that time and time again that a first rounder is a little bit higher in the totem pole, a little bit more rope, a little more opportunity. So kind of how this year plays out matters for guys. What is their approach for you? You mean you seem fun loving? I just want to go out there and have a good time. Is that your recipe card, or did you have goals at the start of the season of what you wanted to accomplish?
Yeah, the draft's really important, right? It's something you look for since you were a little kid, watching guys walk across the stage, and there's obviously goals set, and I think it's every kid's dream to be a first round pick, but from a player standpoint, I try to just it's another day, right? It's a Monday, and you just put your head down, you go to work, and I think a big thing I love to say is with team success comes individual success, right? And so focusing on where you are, the draft's 6 months away and it's not coming any sooner. And so it's just having fun each day and, let it come to you.
Yeah. Good for you. With that approach, and like you're on a roll right now, and I hope nothing but the best for you, and it continues to roll. Whether you're on a high or whether you're on a low, I mean, at any point in your career, and maybe this year, that there's going to be noise, right? There's noise out there, and I know you guys in your generation are more plugged in than ever. You could listen to stuff all day long, probably, if you wanted to. Like, how do you manage that side of the game? Like, the ice is taking care of itself. How do you manage your time away from the rink and what's being said?
Yeah, I think you're like you said, there's a lot of noise, and just try and ignore it as best as you can. Nothing's gonna what one guy says and another guy says isn't gonna change the outcome. And so, I like I say, I'm just a normal kid, right? I'm a 17-year-old. I like to have fun with my buddies, go play some golf. I'm a big fisherman, being from Texas, and so it's just kind of being a kid, going away from the rink, just having fun and playing the game I love.
All right. Is there a plan, like, as far as, I don't know, like, do you like to read articles? Do you look at the rankings? Is that something that you soak up? Is that something you actively try and stay away from, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, I try to stay away from it, to be honest. It's it's hard not to see it, right? You have most people nowadays have social media and might just pop up without even looking it up. But I try to stay away from it as best as I can, and just have fun, play the right way, and you know, have build strong connections. That's what I'm most focused on.
Good for you. Yeah, you mentioned golf, you mentioned fishing. One of the things that I talk with players about sometimes when when they are super focused and driven, it can almost be too much. I mean, there is some athletes that I'm saying, hey, do less hockey, right? Like you have to find a passion away from the sport to remind you how much you love the sport, and you can get a little too wound up. Other guys are maybe the other way, right? Maybe it's only when they're at the rink that they're really thinking about the game, and there's probably opportunities for them to grow and develop, outside of that window. Uh, I love the fact that you do these things. Is that part of the piece for you that keeps the passion and the fire going for the times you are on the ice and in the weight room?
Yeah. I think when I'm at the rink, it's business, and when I'm away from the rink, it's being a kid, and I love watching hockey, obviously, and playing NHL with your billet brother is always fun, but
Yeah.
sometimes watching a movie, watching a football game, just to kind of get out of your own head and escape life almost, and just, feel normal and have fun.
Yeah, I love it. Well, you mentioned watching hockey. That's been a topic actually on the podcast a little bit. I was sort of ribbing my own boys the other day because I don't think they've ever watched a full game front to back probably in their life. Like they'll watch a period here and there. They'll watch the highlights on YouTube or wherever they watch them. But that's kind of their exposure. Although they love the game, is watching hockey something that you personally enjoy doing?
Yeah, I love watching it. There's so much technology today, whether it's watching NHL games, like I watch the Stars games when I can, especially being 2 hours behind, or it's just watching shifts back. I was on the bus last night and kind of got bored and just kind of, went for a scroll and watched some shifts, and, you learn simple things like that. And, it's really cool. Everybody watches the highlights, but there's so much to learn within the game. Second period, 9 minutes left. It might not be the most exciting part, but, there's so much to learn and take away, and it's part of it. Right. And
Yeah.
you can learn so much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the play situational hockey, right? The play away from the puck, all these things that you're mentioning there are huge things, and especially as a young man, like trying to be a pro, like that's where the games are won and lost, and that's where minutes are gained or not earned, right? Or in those moments. Right now, you're having the puck on your stick a lot, but every time the funnel gets a little tighter, it goes less and less, and it's what you're doing when you're not having it that sometimes is the bigger deal. Uh, when it comes to that development, so that's definitely a piece of development. I love talking about development. You mentioned with the program that with your workout schedule that there maybe wasn't the highest intention of being game ready, 100% game ready. That we were trying to get stronger and bigger as the year went on, and keep that as part of the development. What do you have a personal approach to this year, like with that, trying to get better while you're also trying to perform?
Yeah, there's so many things that you can do to get better, right? There's like the gym and strength, and like you said, I'm a huge believer in shooting pucks. After every practice, that's a hobby of mine at this point. It's kind of an addiction. I love throwing some music on, shooting pucks, and stick handling before games. It's just little things like that to get better, and I take it day by day and focus. One thing doesn't feel right the last game, you get better at it during the week for the next one, and there's so 1% better each day. That's one thing that's huge. You're not going to become McDavid or overnight, and might never will be, but it's a process.
Yeah, it's endless. And you kind of need to like that part of it, correct? Like to me, there's a mindset involved in that, like that it doesn't feel like work, that you're doing it because it's a thing. Like you said, you got an addiction around shooting pucks right now. Like what a great thing to be addicted to. It's going to help you. Is that how you feel about it? Like, is there a mindset around improving that's just been kind of inherent with you?
Yeah, I think it's just something that grows over time. You love doing it. The workouts, it's fun. You're blaring music, you're with your buddies. Like, what else would you rather be doing, right? And so
Yeah.
over time it becomes a love, and then it's a hobby, and it's really fun, and you love doing it.
Is there an aspect of your game right now that you do want to get better at? Like, do you feel that there is, I don't know if you even call it a hole, it doesn't have to be, but maybe something that you want to bring up? I'll give you both aspects of it. Like when I'm working with an individual player, I always talk about strengths and weaknesses, and there's going to be something about you that makes you valuable as a player, makes you unique, something that, that you're really good at. Generally speaking, players like working on that thing, whatever that is. You've got a lot of goals this year, and I've seen your shot. I mean, it's obviously reflective in probably how much time you've put into that shot, and here you go and trying to work on it more and more. So there's a player working on his strength. But sometimes we overlook maybe what might be a weakness, and I try and cultivate that attitude of like, let's try and find that passion and that that attitude about getting better when it comes to that. Is there anything on the other side of the fence that you're trying to get better at this year as a player?
Yeah, for me personally, like I think skating's a huge room for improvement, and it's it's something that's never going to be perfect by any means for anybody. And so, as it's probably not as fun as shooting pucks, but it's just as important, right? Like for me, being from Texas this summer, it's so hot that you can't really do much outside when it's 3 p.m. And so like I'd wake up in the mornings with my dad this summer, and we'd run hill sprints just to kind of improve leg strength and stability. And it's a focus, and it might not be as fun, but it's just as important. And it's something that everybody needs to focus on.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. You can never be too good of a skater, can you?
No.
No.
So you're like McDavid.
Going to take a short break from the conversation to remind you that Up My Hockey can work directly with your academy or your association or your team. We are doing that currently with the Thunder Bay Kings up in Ontario. All of their AAA programs are running through the Peak Potential Mindset Project and having coaching calls with me. It's been a fantastic experience so far for the group and for myself, and it really is a competitive advantage for the players that get to participate in it. Not only do the individual players learn how to become the best player that they can be, to be able to manage their emotions, be able to control their development and their performance on the ice, but the group as a whole now has a whole different level of resiliency, a whole different level of language that they can use to perform together throughout the year. So if you're looking for Team Building 101, if you are somebody that believes in building the toolkit around the player to allow them to be the best hockey player that they can be, and if you aren't doing something when it comes to mental training, mental fitness, whatever you may call it, then Up My Hockey may be where you need to look. I do believe that the way that we offer the program, the curriculum involved, the way the players take the program, it really trumps anything that is out there, to my knowledge. The workshop format is dead, in my opinion. For me to get in front of somebody for an hour, a team, and try to communicate the skills of grit or resilience or of mental agility is much too long. And to be able to teach in that environment, it just isn't absorbed enough, and then things don't get applied. The way that we have done it here at Up My Hockey is short form video approach curriculum that the players consume on their own time. They do the assignments and their homework on their own time, and then we come together for a group call where the players engage with me and each other about what they're learning, how they're applying it, and what they're using. So there's very little lecturing time involved. This is all about application. It's all about using information and then applying the information and executing the information so they actually become better players. And the results speak for themselves. It's been so fun to help the growth of the individual players and also as the teams. So if you are in a decision-making process and if you want something that's been proven, that is effective, that not only checks the box of, yes, we are doing something for these players when it comes to mindset, but it actually makes a difference for the players, that it's more than just a checkbox. It is something that builds culture, it builds leadership, it builds community, and it builds performance, then come over this way. Up My Hockey will take care of you. That is the overall business plan too of Up My Hockey. Just to be frank, is like we need to service teams, we need to service associations, so we can grow good human beings within the jurisdictions where they are. So when a player walks into your spot as a U13 or U11 competitive player, they will continue to graduate with Up My Hockey curriculum as long as they stick with the program. It takes a lot off the plate from the coaches. It takes a lot off the plate from the administrators. You'd be surprised how much fewer problems there are in general when it comes to a team format, because players are more easy or more readily available to deal with adversity and look at it as an opportunity. That some of the the headaches and things go away as well. So it really does conquer or solve a lot of problems, provides a lot of solutions. So again, we are open. We love to have conversations. If you are curious at all, look us up, Jason at upmyhockey.com, or send in a contact form on the website. We're already a quarter of the way, halfway through this year. Sometimes these decisions get made a year in advance. So if you want to start the conversation now, bring it on. We're willing to have it. Now let's get back to the conversation. Is there anything else in your repertoire? Because that's one thing that players do ask me, like, okay, I need to work on skating, but I think a lot of players connect skating to like being on the ice with a skating coach or being on the ice and doing power skating. I'd like to blow that up a little bit, and I've tried with the players that I work with that there's a lot of ways to get better, with your stride and with your speed and acceleration, all these things without being on the ice. Is there anything else that you do on a personal level to try and work on that, to work on your skating?
Yeah, like you said, there's obviously skating coaches and all that, but for me, the hill sprints, like I said earlier, were a big thing for me. Creating pop, creating quicker acceleration the first three steps, and the weight room was another big key aspect this summer. Getting stronger in my legs, and turning into a man and more power. And
Mm-hmm.
like rollerblading's fun, and
Yeah.
might not be the same, but going out to the roller park once a week never hurt anybody, and it's a fun way to play the game, and I honestly do think it improves as well.
Awesome. So switching gears a little bit, just to the WHL. Now that you've been in both leagues, is there anything that sticks out to you as being different?
Yeah, it's so hard to compare, right? They're both tremendous leagues, the WHL and the USHL. The USHL is fast, it's physical, heavy, and the WHL, there's some really good players, right? There, you're playing against TG Ginla one night, and then Berkeley Catton the next night, and the top guys are, about to play in the NHL, and so they're both unique in their own way. They're fast, and it's fun to play in.
Is there any? You mentioned fast and heavy of the U show, like, and again, I haven't seen many games, or else I probably wouldn't be asking this question. Uh, but I have seen a few WHL games, well, I don't want to be a dinosaur, but it seems like it's not as fast or as heavy as it used to be, right? Like there's a little less after the whistle. There's not as many fights. Like the Western League was definitely known for that, in the past. It seems like it shifted gears a little bit. Is there? Can you compare those aspects of the leagues? Is one a little more physical than another?
I think they're both pretty equal. They're both heavy. There's with today's game, it's changing every day, and the whistle stuff happens every now and again, and there's already been one fight this year that was pretty fun to watch, but uh, but yeah, no, I mean they're there's still some big guys out there, and they're trying to prove a point, they're trying to earn a spot in the next level, and
Yeah.
they hit hard, they hit often, and it's they try and make it hard on you.
Is that on your things to do list? Is getting to your first scrap while you're out west here?
I don't know. I maybe I'll save that for someone else. I like watching them. I don't really like being in them.
Oh, that's awesome. Great answer. So if you were to compare, well, another thing I talk about with players is like understanding or trying to understand who you are, right? Like where you provide value, what you do well, not only for your team, but just you as an individual. What do you think about JP Hurlbert as a hockey player? Like what makes you different and what makes you valuable?
Yeah, I think my mindset's a big thing, and I like to score goals, and I think for my game, it's it's a lot of offense. It's shooting the puck, it's making plays and creating time and space. And, I feel my role in the team is to put the puck in the net, and, you got to score more than the other team to win games. And that's kind of how I look at it. But it's just, playing hard to play against, playing smart. And I think the biggest thing is working hard. You can never, you don't want to get outworked, and, it's talent's a lot, but it's not work ethic. If you can't do that, then you're not gonna help much.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And so that is your mindset. Like for me, I definitely identified as a goal scorer more than a passer. I don't know why. Maybe because I was better at it. But I mean, I was the guy that wanted to shoot the puck in the net. I was the guy that was trying to find open ice and allow somebody that would create that space to find me. Are you a shoot first kind of guy? I mean, see that your numbers are pretty equal. I mean, as far as goals and assists. But do you identify more as a goal scorer?
Yeah, I'd say I love scoring goals, so probably a goal
Yeah.
scorer, but assist is just as much as a point, and just playing the right way. But I think scoring a goal is the best feeling in hockey, and if I could do that every night, I sure hope I could, but kind of far stretch.
Yeah, I love it. Well, you're close. Looking at it right now, it's 11-17 in 14 games. So awesome start, man. Congratulations on that. And obviously, you've already talked about the team aspect of hockey, which is what makes it special. You must be clicking with a few players there. Have you found a home on a line yet? Have you been moved around a little bit, or where have you found the chemistry so far?
Yeah, it's so early to find one line. We've been moving pretty good, but just the team's been great. We have so many players. The rule change from BCHL guys, NHL drafted guys, and guys that are going to NCAA. It's just it's a full on team, and guys are making plays and helping me out, and hopefully the wins come along, and we're making a push for playoffs sooner.
No, that's awesome. So we haven't Lafreniere or Bem or not like Keller. I think that you play with a little bit. I know there's obviously a lot of other names there, and I haven't been watching the lineup card very much. But it has been pretty much a rotating revolving door there with the line combinations.
Yeah, it's it's early on. It hasn't been set too much, but like you said, I mean, Lafreniere, Edmonton pick. He's a unbelievable player, smart, great shot. Great skater. Bame, hands unbelievable, and he's a creative guy. Can put the puck in the net, and Keller's an animal, and he likes to score goals. So that's one thing I've learned since being here. And no, they're all great players to play with, and every night's a really great time getting to play with those guys, and we look forward to it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and you got it looks like you got a strong group this year. You definitely got a deep forward unit that can score. And for a guy who likes to score goals, it's obviously a nice environment to be in. Anyone caught your eye yet this year in the WHL that maybe you heard the name before, or maybe you didn't know the name, and just someone that's impressed you from being on the other side of the puck?
Yeah. There's so it's such a great league. There's so many guys. It's hard to pick out one guy. I'm still trying to learn some names. It's being the American kid from Texas. You don't know some of these Northern Alberta guys, but obviously, the guys in your draft year, Preston and Spokane, and
Yeah.
Daxton Rudolph and Prince Albert. They're all great players, and they're fun to watch and learn from them on the bench, and playing against them. And it's a great league, and there's so many players. It's hard to name everybody, but those are the two that stick out to mind.
Yeah, no problem. Is your phone ringing a little bit as far as guys in the United States still wondering how it's going, like what your experience like, maybe thinking of trying out the waters?
Yeah, a lot of guys from Dallas reaching out, and I'll try and keep in touch with as many people as I can, and got buddies in the queue, and still have so many friends at the program that that I reach out to all the time, and we laugh, and it's great to catch up. But I think it's so new with this whole rule change, and everybody's excited to see what happens. But it's I think Kamloops is great, the WHL is great, and it's I recommend it for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's great. Is there a tentative plan for next year? Is it to go to University of Michigan? Was this a 1 year kind of 1 year experience in your mind coming up?
Yeah, we'll see. so much time left with, the season, the draft, and so much can change. But, kind of grew up a diehard Michigan fan, and dad went to Michigan for school. So that'd be really cool to play there, and, hopefully it works out. But, there's no set timeline, and just excited to be here right now.
Yeah, I believe it. When it comes to the NHL and who calls your name, I know the real answer is whoever's going to call it first. Like that's where I want to go. But with your roots there in Detroit, Dallas, is there a team, if you could pick a team that you would just love nothing better than to put that jersey on? Do you have one?
Oh, such a hard question. You put me on the spot here. But no, I think, growing up in Dallas, being a Dallas kid, it's obviously going to their games. I think that'd be pretty cool. But like you said, the dream's just to put on a sweater. It doesn't matter who. And, it'd just be an honor to get picked in the NHL and hopefully playing it one day.
Yeah, that's wild. Did you follow Logan Stankoven at all?
Yeah. I actually, so I drove up from Dallas, and that's a whole nother story. But
let's get into it. What happened?
Just there 3 days, one border closed, another hour. It was rolled in Kamloops at about midnight. But no, my first skate in Kamloops, Logan Stankoven was out there, and he came up to me, and I'm a huge Stankoven fan. Watching him in the playoffs was really fun. The trade broke my heart, but for him to come up and introduce himself, and we talked about Kamloops and Dallas, it was really cool, and just a moment that I'll remember forever.
Yeah, and hopefully one that you use too, right? Like I love when guys have those touch points, because even right now, right, there's people looking up to you, and maybe younger players, and it's awesome when you feel that impact, right, of someone taking the time to introduce themselves and go out of their way to kind of make you feel comfortable. Hopefully you can pay that forward in the future. And I've heard nothing but great things about Logan, and obviously the connection there with him being a Blazer and drafted to Dallas and doing such great things, and now obviously moved on to Carolina. I was wondering how much you followed him or not, but boy, he's had a great success story so far.
Yeah, no, he's a great person, great player, so fun to watch. And I was looking at his highlights back in Kamloops the other day, and he brings so much to this city, and there's a lot of Stankoven jerseys at our games, so kind of get a laugh about it. But no, he's great.
Rightfully so, right? Yeah, his motor really impresses me the most. I mean, he obviously has NHL qualities, elite NHL in other areas too, but his engine was always just going, right? He was kind of a guy that seemed like he would never be denied, almost played with a chip on his shoulder every game. And I think that's something, to your point you talked about earlier, as far as work ethic, like that's something that's in your control, right? Like the motor aspect is on the individual, and I love players like him that get rewarded for that, because it's a great example for the other younger players out there. When it comes to work ethic, JP, like how do you feel that anything in your upbringing, maybe with your parents, or like how did work ethic get ingrained into you that this is an important thing that I need to embrace?
Yeah, I think my dad was a huge aspect in that. And we learned the game together. We started, our first skate was him and I both falling all over the place. And so growing up, he pushed me every single day and kind of installed that into me. And it's countless hours of shooting pucks and going to the rink when you don't want to, that, it kind of just becomes a habit, and it's a built-in love. And, just, I think for me, it's the inner burn to be the best and try and, be an impact player every single game.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah, and it translates outside of the rink too, right? I mean, you kind of have to have that same fire in the gym, like you said. You have to have that same fire in other aspects. And again, to be truly elite, right? Like to be the best JP Hurlbert you can be. If that's not there, you're never going to know what that is, right? And in the pursuit of your own personal greatness, all this other stuff will come, right? Like I talk with players all the time. I mean, if you don't ever get to be your best, you'll never really know what that best is. I mean, on the world stage, right? So you're kind of always in a competition with you to see if you can raise those standards, whether they be from a competitive aspect or whether they be from a work ethic standpoint. And when you continue to raise those standards, that's where the fun comes, I think. And then when you get addicted to the process, the 1%, as you said, that's when really good things happen. Well, I couldn't be happier for your year, man. obviously I have a little bit of an eye on the team, an extra eye, just because of my own personal involvement with the Sun and seeing how you guys are doing and how the other 09s there are doing. So I'm really, really happy for you. I'm happy that we've welcomed you. It sounds like Canada's treating you pretty well so far. And I just want to applaud you on making a brave, bold move, man. Like, it's not every day that kids are gonna make that choice, and I love to see you get rewarded for all your effort.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's Kamloops is great, and thank you for having me. It's a really cool experience, and hopefully they take something away, and it's hockey's fun, right? So.
You betcha. Yeah, and it's also fun when you happen to be leading the league, doing things like that. It becomes even more fun. So that's really cool, man. Yeah, keep up the good work, and we'll be following you the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the episode with JP Hurlbert. JP, if you are still around listening, thank you. You're a rock star. Things you're doing on the ice are incredible, and the way you're handling yourself off the ice is just as admirable. Great example to young hockey players out there about how to be. And that's would be my takeaway for everyone listening here, is that it is my goal that hockey players are some of the best people on the planet. And if you have the right mentorship, if you have the right coach, the game can teach you some amazing things. And if we learn the game from that perspective of how I can be a better person, how I can be a better teammate, what about myself? Where are there flaws in myself that are holding myself back in development? Where are my flaws in performance? Where are my flaws as a teammate? And if we can continue to raise our standards around those things, all of the proclaimed hockey skills will rise with you. And JP seems like he's got it going on both ends. He's a hell of a hockey player. He seems like he's a hell of a human. And by everyone that seems to have touch points with him in Kamloops, he's really living up on both ends of the bargain. So yeah, take an inventory if you're a hockey player out there, and if you do want to be great, and if you do want to chase great things, and if you haven't taken the proverbial look in the mirror and saying, hey, how can I improve as a human? And in those areas, if I do improve them, how might be the byproduct of me actually being a better hockey player? And you'd be surprised that when you start putting those dots together, that the recipe card becomes really, really strong. You start working on yourself in a multitude of ways, and as JP talked about with the mindset of getting better. If you are in the 1% a day category and you aren't looking at yourself as a person, you are missing a very, very big piece of that pie to help you become better. So thanks again, JP, for the great example. Nothing but the best there to the Kamloops players and JP and his teammates. And until next time, play hard and keep your head up.